Hello, everybody. My name is BC Begley, and I hope that I'm your host today, yours truly, and this is my very first live show. I'm sorry. I hope you're all enjoying the day. It's Monday, September the 22nd, 2025. It's 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. This is my very first show. I'm sorry if there's any mistakes or any mishaps. I know the audio might be a little off. The fans on my computer are working overtime, so the audio might pick up on the microphone. I apologize for that. Also, I'm using a streaming software, so this is my first show. I don't really know how to transition it smoothly and everything, so I will try my best, okay? Just bear with me. It's very much a work in progress, all right? Now, since this is the very first show, I just want to take a brief moment to lay out how the show will go, what it's all about, and what inspired me to create it. Because this is a faceless YouTube channel, this will also be a faceless live news show. I'm not the best producer, but there will be photos, videos, graphics, and whatnot throughout the broadcast. Think of it more like a radio-style news program. But since it's on YouTube, I wanted to provide some visuals, but it's built so that you could just listen to the audio and still get the full experience. It's a retro-style radio show with a YouTube live vibe. Now, as the title suggests, this is a news show, and after this brief introduction, we'll jump right into the top stories of the day. We'll take a break after the top stories. I'm trying to shoot for 15 past the hour, 30 past the hour, and 45 past the hour, but some days we might not go a full hour. So we're going to start at noon. We'll either go past 1 p.m. or we'll end a little short than an hour. So we'll go by blocks. So the first block is going to be the top stories of the day. We'll come back. We'll do some brief weather updates, and then we'll go to the second block, which is international news and politics. We'll come back. We'll do some financial market updates. And then we'll go to the third block, which is U.S. news and politics. We'll come back real quick, and then we'll go to the final block, which is business news, tech news, space news, and some archaeology, if there is any. Now, I'll be covering the news the same way I do in my short news videos, which are short 1-minute news stories, sourced from a variety of news outlets across the world. No bias, no narratives, and no personal opinions. Just the facts of the article. I believe that the viewer is intelligent enough to form his or her own opinion about the content of the news article, and the live chat and the comment section are the places where the audience can share their opinions without censorship. Now, as far as politics is concerned, I want to make one thing clear before we start. This is not a right-wing show, and this is not a left-wing show. I am not, nor have I ever been, a member of any political party. I have not, nor will I ever, vote in any election in this country, and that's my personal choice. But I do think that that makes me uniquely qualified to report on political news stories without pushing any biased narratives. This show is for everyone, left, right, and center. My goal is to take the bias and the spin out of the news reporting and do my very best to just bring you the facts of the news article. Now, in this business, whether it's on TV, radio, or online, most news producers believe a good 1-hour news show should feature about 8 to 12 news stories, with extended commentary for each one. They think the viewer needs that, but most of the time, it's in this extended commentary where you will find the bias and the narratives, or the attempts to tell the viewer how to think or feel about a story. When it comes to online news shows, almost everyone is doing the same thing, a political opinion commentary show. And that's fine. It's good to find hosts and communities that share your beliefs. But I want to try something different. I want to be original. I want to bring as many short 1-minute news stories as possible within a 1-hour time slot. Not just a handful of selected stories or the chosen ones, but a wide range of stories. Because I think the viewers will appreciate hearing more of the news, not less. And that's how I believe the news should be. And with that, let's jump right in to the top news stories of the day. The FBI secretly recorded Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, accepting $50,000 in cash from undercover agents in September of 2024, allegedly in exchange for promises of future border security contracts. While federal officials considered charges, they delayed action since Homan wasn't yet a public official. After Trump's return back to office, his Justice Department shut down the case, calling it politically motivated. Homan denied any wrongdoing, while the Democrats accused Trump's team of covering up corruption, The Guardian has reported. The controversy escalated as Trump pushed his attorney general to pursue charges against several high-profile Democrats. California Governor Gavin Newsom signed two first-in-the-nation laws requiring ICE and other law enforcement agencies in the state to be identifiable and unmasked, banning bounty hunters from immigration enforcement. The move, framed as a pushback against Trump's immigration crackdowns and masked ICE raids in Los Angeles, sparked sharp opposition from the Trump administration, which argued the measures endanger officers. The laws, SB 627 and SB 805, take effect in 2026 and immediately are expected to face court challenges, Deadline has reported. President Donald Trump headlined a massive memorial service in Arizona for conservative activist Charlie Kirk, praising him as a martyr after his September 10th shooting death. Nearly 100,000 attendees, including top Trump officials and Turning Point USA members, framed Kirk as a historic figure whose activism would fuel the conservative movement. Speakers highlighted his faith, youth outreach, and political impact, while Kirk's wife offered forgiveness to his alleged killer, the BBC has reported. The event also featured Elon Musk appearing alongside President Trump, underscoring Kirk's influence across conservative and cultural spheres. Luigi Maggione, 27, is accused of fatally shooting United Healthcare executive Brian Thompson outside a Manhattan hotel last December. He has pleaded not guilty and faces both federal and state murder charges, though a New York judge recently dismissed two terrorism-related counts against him. Maggione's lawyers are asking a federal judge to dismiss his indictment or bar prosecutors from seeking the death penalty, arguing that Attorney General Pam Bondi and other officials violated his rights with prejudicial statements and a staged perp walk. They claim Bondi rushed the decision to pursue capital charges, abandoning prior protocols for reviewing such cases, Bloomberg has reported. Prosecutors have until October the 31st to respond, and no trial dates have been set in either the federal or the state case. Australia has formally recognized Palestine as a sovereign state, joining the UK and Canada in a coordinated move announced at the UN by Prime Minister Anthony Albanese. The decision, intended to build momentum for a two-state solution and a Gaza ceasefire, drew fierce condemnation from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who warned of possible military responses. Albanese stressed that Hamas must have no role in a future Palestinian state, while the foreign minister framed the move as part of a global push for peace. The recognition sparked threats of punitive measures from U.S. Republicans and opposition criticism at home, who argued conditions for recognition have not yet been met, The Guardian has reported. Despite backlash, Albanese said the step was necessary after decades of violence and mounting civilian deaths in Gaza. A masked gunman shouting "Free Palestine" opened fire at a wedding reception in New Hampshire, killing a 59-year-old guest just before the bride and groom's first dance. Police identified the shooter as 23-year-old Hunter Naidoo, who was arrested and then charged with murder. At least 6 others were hospitalized with injuries while fleeing, and initial reports of multiple shooters led to a large manhunt before authorities confirmed Naidoo acted alone. Witnesses described chaos as guests dove for cover during the gunfire, the New York Post has reported. Naidoo faces additional charges for the injured victims and is due in court on Monday. Violence erupted at The Hague as a demonstration over immigration turned chaotic, with rioters clashing with police, torching a police car, and vandalizing the D66 party office. Police used tear gas and water cannons to disperse the crowd, while a group of 1,500 protesters blocked the A12 highway. Dutch media reported rioters were carrying nationalist signs and symbols, which party leader Rob Jetten condemned as intimidation. Caretaker Prime Minister Dick Schoof called the violence unacceptable just weeks before the October 29th general election, CBS News has reported. Geert Wilders, whose party triggered the election by leaving the ruling coalition, also condemned the rioters. Authorities in the Dominican Republic said they recovered 377 packages of cocaine from a speedboat that was destroyed by the U.S. Navy in what they called the first joint anti-narco-terrorism operation in the Caribbean. The boat, allegedly carrying over 2,200 pounds of cocaine, was struck about 80 nautical miles south of Isla Beta before Dominican forces secured the drugs. U.S. officials say the naval mission, launched in August with warships and submarines, has already destroyed multiple drug boats. Human rights groups, however, condemned the strikes as extrajudicial killings, while 2 U.S. senators introduced a resolution to block further attacks, CBS News has reported. The operation has fueled tensions with Venezuela, whose government denies U.S. accusations of drug trafficking and has labeled the military buildup in the region a threat. German and Swedish fighter jets intercepted a Russian Il-20M reconnaissance plane that had entered neutral airspace over the Baltic Sea on Sunday, after it flew without a flight plan or radio contact. NATO ordered Germany's Quick Reaction Force to respond before handing the escort over to Swedish jets. The incident follows a series of recent Russian airspace violations, including 3 Russian MiG-31s entering Estonia on Friday and multiple drone incursions into Poland earlier this month. Both Poland and Estonia have invoked NATO's Article 4, warning of escalating threats from Russia, NPR has reported. Western leaders, including President Trump, have expressed concern that the provocations risk drawing NATO closer into open conflict. President Donald Trump urged Attorney General Pam Bondi to more aggressively investigate his political opponents, including James Comey, Adam Schiff, and New York Attorney General Letitia James. He expressed frustration that, quote, nothing is being done, and then praised Bondi as, quote, doing a great job. Trump's calls came after federal prosecutor Eric Siebert resigned following Trump's demand to prosecute James over alleged mortgage fraud, which she denies. Democrats criticized Trump's actions as undermining the Justice Department's independence, citing his history of firing officials who opposed him, the BBC has reported. Trump has also targeted other prosecutors and officials connected to investigations of him and revoked some security clearances. Okay, now we're back, and I'm not really a weatherman, but I'll try to give us a weather update. It's 13 past the hour, and we'll open up the National Weather Radar map from the National Weather Service. And as you can see, most of the mainland 48 is clear. We do have some thunderstorms in the Midwest through Kentucky and Indiana. We also have some scattered showers out west, but nothing major. Over here, we'll take you through the map. We've got rain and thunderstorms likely in a large portion of the middle part of the country. We also have some severe thunderstorms possible in Ohio, Kentucky, Iowa, Oklahoma, and Kansas. And we'll do the, we'll show you the, hold on here, we got another map. Here's the temperature for today. In the New England area and in the Midwest, we're looking at about the 70s or 80s. In the South, we're looking at the 80s, maybe 90s. In Texas, we're hitting 90. In Arizona and Southern California, we're hitting 80, maybe 90. And then up in Montana and Idaho and in Wyoming, it looks like we got in the 50s and in the upper 60s, so not too bad temperatures throughout the day. Could be worse, I guess. All right, so we are going to go now into the international section. These are world news and world politics news. So here we go, and I will be back when this is done, and we'll do some business updates with the stock market. The United Kingdom has officially recognized a Palestinian state, with the Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper warning Israel not to annex parts of the West Bank in response. The move, also followed by Canada, Australia, Portugal, and soon France and Belgium, aims to revive the two-state solution while ensuring Hamas has no role in governance. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu condemned the recognition as rewarding terrorism, while Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas welcomed it, the BBC has reported. The decision comes amid ongoing conflict in Gaza, allegations of Israeli war crimes, and concerns over settlement expansion in the West Bank. Thousands have been evacuated in the Philippines ahead of Super Typhoon Ragasa, with winds of 143 miles per hour and life-threatening storm surges. The typhoon is expected to hit the northern islands before moving toward southern China, bringing heavy rain, flooding, and landslides. Schools, government offices, and transport services have been suspended in affected areas, including Manila and parts of Taiwan, the BBC has reported. Authorities in China and Hong Kong have warned of catastrophic impacts, while the Philippines continues to struggle with flooding and public protest over inadequate flood control infrastructure. 5 people, including 3 children, were killed in southern Lebanon on Sunday in an Israeli airstrike targeting a Hezbollah operative, though claims that U.S. citizens were among the dead are disputed. Israel expressed regret over civilian casualties, while Lebanese officials condemned the strike as a, quote, massacre and a violation of international law. UNICEF called the deaths of children, quote, unconscionable, and Lebanon's president urged the international community to act against Israel's continued violations of the ceasefire agreement with Hezbollah, CNN has reported. The attack follows Israeli claims of victories against Hezbollah and ongoing tensions in the region. Thousands of Brazilians protested Congress's moves to expand lawmakers' immunity and push for an amnesty that could include far-right former President Jair Bolsonaro, sentenced to 27 years for attempting a military coup. Demonstrations took place in multiple cities, with artists performing protest concerts and citizens denouncing political corruption. The shielding bill would make it harder to arrest lawmakers, while a fast-tracked amnesty bill targets Bolsonaro and his allies. Both face Senate hurdles, and President Lula has pledged to veto the amnesty, Al Jazeera has reported. Bolsonaro, under house arrest, faces up to 40 years in prison, but still plans to run for president in the year 2026, despite being barred from elections until 2030. Tens of thousands protested in Manila over a corruption scandal involving costly ghost flood control projects, leading to scattered clashes with police and the arrest of at least 17 people. Demonstrators demanded prosecution of officials and contractors accused of siphoning billions of pesos, while some police were injured. The protest coincided with the anniversary of martial law under Ferdinand Marcos Sr., with organizers calling for lasting reforms to prevent corruption, Al Jazeera has reported. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. acknowledged the public's anger and urged peaceful demonstrations while an independent commission investigates the projects. Israeli airstrikes in Gaza City and a refugee camp killed more than 40 people, including 19 women and children, this according to health officials. In Gaza City, 14 people died when a strike hit a residential block, including a hospital nurse, his wife, and 3 children. Another strike at a refugee camp killed at least 8 Palestinians, including 4 children and 2 women, and injured 22 others. Most of the victims were taken to local area hospitals, the Associated Press has reported. Israel has not commented on the strikes, which come as several European countries and key U.S. allies move to recognize a Palestinian state. Russia launched over 600 drones and missiles at 9 regions across Ukraine, killing at least 3 people and wounding dozens more. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky said the attacks targeted infrastructure, residential areas, and civilian sites, including a cluster munition strike on a building in Dnipro. In Chernihiv, 1 person was killed and 8 injured, including medics that were hit by a follow-up strike, while in another region, at least 30 injuries and damage to high-rise buildings were reported, Euronews has reported. Ukraine's Air Force reported intercepting most of the incoming drones and missiles. Qatar is seeking an apology from Israel for a recent airstrike in Doha before resuming its mediation on a Gaza peace deal. The strike, which killed 5 Hamas members and a Qatari security officer, marked Israel's first attack in a Gulf state and worsened its regional isolation. The Qatari emir has raised the request with U.S. officials, who are pressing Israel to ease tensions and allow negotiations to continue, Axios has reported. While an apology would be politically sensitive for Netanyahu, Qatar may accept wording focused on the security officer's death, compensation, and respect for Qatari sovereignty. Chinese journalist Zhang Zhan, who documented the early COVID-19 outbreak in Wuhan, was sentenced to an additional 4 years in prison on charges of picking quarrels and provoking trouble following her initial 2020 imprisonment. Zhang, known for posting first-hand accounts from hospitals and streets, went on hunger strike during her detention and was forcibly fed. Rights groups condemned the sentence as persecution for her journalism and called for her immediate release, NBC News has reported. China currently holds over 120 journalists in prison and ranks near the bottom of the Global Press Freedom Index. Turkey's main opposition party, the Republican People's Party, re-elected its leader during a special Congress on Sunday to preempt possible government efforts to replace its leadership. The move comes amid accusations of electoral fraud from prosecutors, which the CHP calls politically motivated attempts by President Erdogan's government to weaken the opposition. The party has faced court interventions, arrest of municipal officials, and the removal of its Istanbul provincial leadership, while prominent figures like the Istanbul mayor remain in pretrial custody on corruption charges, the Associated Press has reported. Okay, and we're back. It's 22 past the hour, and we're going to do a brief stock market update. The S&P 500 is up 0.28%. The NASDAQ is up 0.39%. Gold is up 1.39%. Oil is down 0.46%. Bitcoin is down 2.11%. And the Dow Jones is down 0.10%. And that is the market update as of now. We are going to roll right into U.S. stories and U.S. politics. A 64-year-old man, Anibal Hernandez Santana, was arrested after a drive-by shooting at ABC 10, an ABC News affiliate in Sacramento on Friday. At least 3 bullets struck the station's lobby while the building was occupied, but no one was injured. Hernandez Santana faces multiple felony charges, including shooting into an occupied building and assault with a deadly weapon, and was released on $200,000 bail. Authorities are investigating the motive, which may or may not be linked to the recent protest over Jimmy Kimmel's show's suspension, NPR has reported. ABC 10 and journalism groups condemned the attack and emphasized staff safety. Tiger handler Ryan Easley was fatally mauled by a tiger at Growler Pines Tiger Preserve in Hugo, Oklahoma. The preserve described the attack as a tragic reminder of the risks involved in working with wild animals and praised Easley for his passion, care, and dedication to big cats.
All tours and animal encounters at the facility have been canceled until further notice. PETA condemned direct human interaction with apex predators, calling it unsafe, and urging exhibitors to relocate animals to accredited sanctuaries, NBC News has reported. Easley was remembered as a committed wildlife advocate whose compassion and dedication to animal care will not be forgotten. President Donald Trump signed an executive action imposing a $100,000 application fee for H-1B visas to limit their use and encourage companies to hire American workers. He also introduced a gold card program that would fast-track visas for foreigners who pay $1 million or $2 million if sponsored by a company. The measures aim to restrict access to foreign workers while prioritizing highly skilled or high-earning immigrants. H-1B visas, widely used in the tech sector, are currently capped at $65,000 annually, with an additional $20,000 for advanced degree holders, CNN has reported. Critics warn the moves could significantly impact industries reliant on foreign talent, though the administration argues it ensures only top-tier workers enter the U.S. workforce. Protests at the ICE facility in Broadview, Illinois, continued into their second week as officers carried out deportation operations under Operation Midway Blitz. Demonstrators, including Abraham Aguirre, gathered to support family members detained at the center, waving and providing supplies as buses transported detainees, some headed for Mexico and Venezuela. Tensions flared as ICE agents used pepper balls against protesters, leading to a few arrests, while Broadview police did not intervene. The Department of Homeland Security confirmed nearly 550 arrests in the broader Chicago operation, but the facility remains open despite calls to close it, the Chicago Sun-Times has reported. Protesters emphasized the need for immigration reform and expressed solidarity with families affected by the raids. Heavy rain east of Los Angeles triggered mudslides that damaged homes and trapped drivers in the San Bernardino Mountains. 10 people were rescued from stranded vehicles on State Route 38, while a 2-year-old boy drowned after floodwaters swept his family's car away in Barstow. Mudslides affected Forest Falls, Oak Glen, and Potato Canyon, with one Forest Falls home buried under tree trunks. The storm dumped nearly 2 inches of rain in just 2 hours, exasperating areas weakened by past wildfires, the Associated Press has reported. Authorities closed roads, assessed damage, and issued evacuation warnings as additional storms were forecast. Ryan Ruth, charged with attempting to assassinate President Donald Trump at his Florida golf course, is representing himself in a federal court. Prosecutors rested after 7 days and 38 witnesses, presenting evidence that Ruth plotted the attack for weeks and aimed a rifle at a Secret Service agent, who fired, forcing him to flee. Ruth has pleaded not guilty to multiple federal and state charges, including attempted murder and terrorism, and plans to call a firearms expert and 2 character witnesses in his defense. Before the alleged attack, he texted loved ones to say goodbye and has a history of violent incidents and criminal activity dating back to 2002, the Associated Press has reported. Closing arguments are scheduled for Tuesday, after which the jury will begin deliberations. During Charlie Kirk's memorial service, FBI Director Kash Patel said the Bureau is, quote, pursuing every lead in the investigation of his assassination. Tyler Robinson, 22 years old, has been charged with Kirk's murder, but the FBI is examining the possibility of accomplices, including individuals linked to Robinson on Discord. Investigators are reviewing the shooting location, bullet trajectory, text messages, online chats, and potential hand signals near Kirk at the time of the attack. Robinson faces multiple charges, including aggravated murder, and prosecutors plan to seek the death penalty, ABC News has reported. He did not enter a plea, and a court-appointed attorney will represent him at his next hearing on September the 29th. A 175-pound female black bear went on a rampage through a Dollar General store in Vernon, New Jersey, attacking a 90-year-old woman and a dog before being euthanized. The bear initially entered the store around 2 p.m. local time, left, then returned 2 hours later, terrorizing a nearby restaurant and chasing employees. A real estate agent helped guide the bear out of the store before police arrived. The woman suffered scratches, and the dog was unharmed but taken to a vet, the Daily Mail has reported. Authorities euthanized the bear and then sent it for rabies testing, with results pending. Charlie Kirk's widow, Erica Kirk, has said that she will not personally push for the death penalty against her husband's accused killer, Tyler Robinson, leaving the decision to the government. Robinson, who is 22 years old, was charged with aggravated murder and other felonies in the September 10th assassination of the 31-year-old political activist at Utah Valley University. Erica Kirk, speaking to the New York Times, said her faith guides her, and she does not want, quote, that man's blood on my ledger to remain with her in the afterlife. She described coping with grief while caring for their 2 young children, wearing Kirk's blood-stained necklace and avoiding their shared bedroom, the U.S. Sun has reported. Erica will speak at his memorial service in Arizona, vowing that, quote, no one will ever forget my husband's name. Another dolphin, Bimini, has died at the Miami Seaquarium, a marine park facing ongoing criticism for repeated animal welfare violations, bankruptcy, and legal battles. Bimini, a 26-year-old Atlantic bottlenose dolphin, died from chronic health issues, the Seaquarium has said. The park has been protested for over a decade, with groups like PETA calling for its closure. Bimini was one of 4 dolphins the USDA had previously marked for confiscation due to alleged Animal Welfare Act violations, though the seizure was never carried out, USA Today has reported. 2 of the 4 dolphins on that list have now died, highlighting ongoing concerns about animal safety at that facility.
All right, and we're back. It's 32 past the hour. And hey, everyone, if you're enjoying the show, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps out the stream to get more people in. Also, you can share this live feed with your friends so they can join in on the fun. And of course, if you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of our future live shows. Your support keeps this community going, and I appreciate that. Now let's go into some biz, tech, and space news.
China's central bank kept its benchmark lending rates unchanged for the 4th month in a row, holding the 1-year rate at 3.0% and the 5-year rate at 3.5%, despite the U.S. Federal Reserve cutting rates last week. The decision aligns with expectations that authorities would avoid major stimulus amid a recent stock market rally, even as economic data shows signs of a slowdown. Retail sales and industrial output growth weakened in August, while wholesale prices remained in deflation, and export growth slowed to its lowest since February. Analysts note that China's growth momentum is faltering due to a real estate slump, fading fiscal stimulus, and curbs on industrial capacity, CNBC has reported. The benchmark CSI 300 index opened higher on Monday, but later edged down slightly, while the offshore yuan strengthened modestly. Several major European airports, including London's Heathrow, one in Berlin and Brussels, faced disruptions on Saturday after a cyber attack targeted Collins Aerospace, the provider of check-in and boarding systems. The hack caused log queries, flight cancellations, and delays, though operations were largely returning back to normal by Sunday. RTX, Collins Aerospace's parent company, described the incident as a, quote, cyber-related disruption, affecting the Muse software used by the airlines. Airports implemented manual workarounds, with Heathrow reporting most flights continued to operate, while the airport in Brussels still experienced significant delays, CNN has reported. Regulators are investigating the origin of the attack, part of a wider wave of cyber attacks affecting industries from automotive to retail. Over 3,300 pounds of Kirkland Signature tuna wasabi poke sold at Costco have been recalled due to potential listeria contamination in the green onions that are used in the product. The recall was announced by Western United Fish Company with FDA oversight after a supplier's test on September 17th came back positive for listeria. No illnesses have been reported, but the bacteria can cause serious infections in young children, the elderly, pregnant people, and those with weakened immune systems. The affected product was sold in clear clamshell containers with a September 18, 2025 pack date and a September 22nd sell-by date across 33 states, CNBC has reported. Consumers are advised to discard the product and return it to Costco for a full refund. Lockheed Martin's secretive Skunk Works division unveiled its new drone wingman Vectis, designed for surveillance, electronic warfare, precision strikes, and aerial combat. The aircraft, smaller than an F-16 but larger than a common multi-mission truck missile, is stealthy, reusable, runway dependent, and compatible with other aircraft like the F-22 and the F-35. Skunk Works emphasized that Vectis was developed over time, building on decades of experience with advanced aircraft like the U-2, the SR-71, and the F-117. While technical details such as its engine remain undisclosed, the drone is intended for operations in the Indo-Pacific, Middle East, and Europe, Axios has reported. The Air Force and the Navy are actively seeking such autonomous robo-wingmen to accompany pilots in future missions. SpaceX launched its 119th Falcon 9 mission of the year on September the 21st, sending 28 Starlink satellites into orbit from Cape Canaveral. The rocket's first stage, booster B-1085, landed safely on the drone ship a short fall from gravitas for its 11th flight, while the upper stage deployed the satellites about 64 minutes after liftoff. The company has also conducted 4 Starship test flights in 2025, including a successful August the 26th launch, Space.com has reported. JAXA's Akatsuki orbiter, launched in 2010, became the agency's first interplanetary mission and entered orbit around Venus in December of 2015. For over 8 years, it monitored the planet's atmosphere, mapping clouds, detecting lightning, and measuring temperature and atmospheric structure using multiple instruments. Communication with the spacecraft was lost in April of 2024, and JAXA officially ended the mission on September 18th of 2025 after recovery attempts had failed, Space.com has reported. During its mission, Akatsuki made key discoveries, including the largest stationary gravity wave in the solar system and new insights into Venus's high-speed atmospheric circulation, fulfilling its goal. Australia is reviewing its telecommunications sector after Optus failed to connect 624 emergency calls last week, linked to 4 deaths. The outage affected calls to 000, Australia's emergency number. Optus CEO Stephen Rue apologized, citing lapses in established processes. The communications minister, Anika Wells, said the industry watchdog is investigating, and there will be consequences for Optus and other telecoms. Optus and Telstra have previously faced fines for emergency call failures, ABC News has reported. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese called Optus's actions completely unacceptable and suggested a possible leadership change. European stocks edged lower on Monday as investors reacted to U.S. President Trump's surprise H-1B visa fee hike. The Stoxx 600 fell 0.2%, with auto stocks hardest hit. Porsche dropped 6.7% after lowering its 2025 profit forecast and delaying electric car launches, dragging Volkswagen down 5.5%. The new $100,000 visa fee, effective Sunday, has raised concerns for companies reliant on skilled foreign workers, drawing criticism from India, CNBC has reported. Meanwhile, Eurozone consumer confidence data is expected later, and Asia Pacific markets were mixed after China kept key lending rates unchanged. President Trump said Rupert Murdoch, his son Lachlan, Oracle's Larry Ellison, and Dell's Michael Dell are likely to be involved in a U.S. deal to keep TikTok operational. The plan would give Americans control over 6 of the 7 board members and the app's algorithm, with Oracle overseeing U.S. data and privacy. Trump and Chinese leader Xi Jinping have discussed the deal, but China says the sides are still far apart, CNBC has reported. The negotiations aim to address national security concerns and ensure TikTok can continue operating in the United States.
Okay, everybody, it's 40 past the hour. We didn't quite make it a full hour. Like I said, some days we won't go a full hour, some we might go over. Depends on how much news there is that day. I want to thank you all for joining me today. I've learned a lot today. I'll be better prepared, hopefully, for the next show. I'm still getting used to this software. I'm still getting used to the mic. I'm not used to doing live shows. I apologize if I messed up. I'm no meteorologist, so I'll have to work on that too. But I will see you guys tomorrow for another live show at 12 noon and the rest of the week. And then after the show ends, I will post all of these videos like I originally do as short news videos in the proper categories that'll be on the homepage of my YouTube channel. So I will see you guys tomorrow at 12 noon.